saying is someone's still gonna win, and it might be if
I know
half the field, just about half the field is playing badly, with golf, you can easily say, oh, the course must be hard. They're all playing bad. You know what I mean? It all kind of comes back to earth a little bit.
Sergio has been like, I can't wait to leave this place. Rah, 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 rah.
Yeah. And good evening, Divots and Pivots here with you, episode 44. And Bud, I already noticed it right out the gate. The second ball All-American shirt, loving it. Hey guys, Thanksgiving's done. It's officially Christmas season. If you need a gift for your man, or if you need a gift for your lady and she likes the comfy tees, get over to malabros.com. Get the second ball American shirt, or just get any of their other products. Use discount code DIVPIV, that's DIVPIV, for a special discount there. So get on over there and get that second ball All-American shirt for Christmas. Bud, how are you?
After like 2 or 3 washes as well, it's brilliant.
Oh yeah,
and I'm not trying to knock them. As a matter of fact, some of the best t-shirts in the world. You guys know what I'm talking about. You get them, you wash them 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Those are the ones that people end up stealing from you. I'm doing fantastic. I'm a little shocked. A couple hours ago, Tiger came out and was like, Norman's got to go, and started beating that. So I don't even know where to begin with this.
I hadn't even seen that yet a couple hours ago. I've been all over the place this afternoon, so you'll have to fill me in there.
Let's just start right there.
Let's do it.
It's hot off the presses. First of all, Tiger season has begun. We know if you've been tuning in recently, or even if you haven't, we're kind of in the show hole of the PGA Tour season. No real golf to speak of going on, except for stuff like the Hero World Challenge or the PNC. It used to be father-son, now it's just family member coming up and stuff like that, which is fun. We're going to see T. Gray. We get 3 weeks of T. Gray. He was supposed to play this week, pulled out with plantar fasciitis. If you've ever had plantar fasciitis, it is one of the most debilitating, helpless things in the world that makes you feel less of an adult, because it doesn't matter how tough you are. If the bottom of your heel or anything down there, when it feels like you're stepping on a hot iron rod, you can't go play 18 holes. But at his presser today, his health came up, and a reporter, it was yesterday or today, I want to say it was today, and somebody was asking him about some surgeries that he kind of let slip, that he had some quote unquote procedures that he had done earlier this year. And a reporter, being a reporter, followed up and said, I wasn't aware of any surgeries that you had. Can you, and Tiger's like, yeah, there was a couple of procedures. He goes, oh, can you elaborate on that? He goes, nope. And I mean, and kudos to the journalist for pushing just a little bit more.
You're not doing your job.
Being like, I'd be like, what you're saying, when did these things happen? And I love Tiger in the past, which is his code for, buddy, either move on or I'm moving on to somebody else.
Exactly.
And it got me thinking, because, we do get so invested in these athletes and these, and we forget that they are human and their bodies. We've talked about it when Mac Jones had the ankle thing and weighing the options of, do I get the surgery? Do I not get the surgery? What's in the best interest for me? What's in the best interest for the team? And to an extent, when you're getting paid that much money and you're, sometimes you might have to think of what's best for the team versus you personally, or even your career, because you are getting paid $50 million. Enter Aaron Rodgers, talking about with his broken thumb and, I guess he was concerned about a punctured lung at one point, and that's when we decided, shut up, Aaron. Like, lay off the ayahuasca.
Did the Packers hire the training staff of the Chargers? Is that what happened?
Pretty much. But it got me thinking, I don't fault anybody. I saw some, of course, all great conversations happen on the interwebs, and I saw some folks kind of trying to chide Tiger for being cheeky with this guy, and I thought to myself, we don't owe, they don't owe us any personal information. That's personal medical information. I mean, good luck keeping it private, but they do keep it private. Even Beyonce says if you're going to hang out, you got to have an NDA.
Yeah, they don't owe it, but the reporter does have a job to at least ask. And then it's just a back and forth of, I'm just not going to tell you. But he's going to do his job.
It's like the It's like the must lie situations at the end of it. Hey, listen, we're gonna be seeing a lot of it in college football in the next few weeks. We have all the faith in the world in Coach so and so, which that's the fired. Death knell. When you get the public endorsement from the AD or the president this time of year, unless it is the chief booster himself or herself coming out and saying, "We got the Brinks truck out back. We have faith in you." You know, it's all up in the air. But back to the Tiger question. Yeah, I mean, it's like in that scenario, you have to ask. I am a little shocked that he played it that close to the chest because, you know, what's the big deal? And maybe he was just trying to say, like, I'm not the story here, guys. Like, this is the Hero World Challenge. We're here for this. We're here to raise money. We're here about these players. Like, and I could see that too. He's trying to not be the story. But also, are we really that invested in his planter? We are. I mean, I've been thinking about
I thought you were going to say, are we really that invested in the Hero World Challenge? Because the bigger story is always going to be Tiger Woods if he's in the row.
That's the only reason the Hero World Challenge is worth news, is because you're going to get to see Tiger. I mean, the only reason I give a rat's rear about it is not because he's not playing. It's because he is talking. I mean, as long as he is the needle, 15 mil just for having a heartbeat at this point for the pit money. But the needle moved even more earlier today when he came out and pretty much said what Rory said a few weeks ago, which is kind of what we've been alluding to here. The soothsayers that we are, is that coexistence with Liv is within grasp, and future, you know, and more signals point to that because the host of the Mayakoba, I think it's El Cameroon or El Cameron or whatever, El Capitan. It's not El Capitan, but the Mexican course that has hosted the Mayakoba for the last few years is just jump ship. They're going to host the first live event in 2023. So that's a big deal because you finally do have this standard. Yes, Trump Bedminster has hosted things before, and but the Trump Doral has hosted.
Yeah, Trump courses have kind of had a falling out with the PGA over the last year or two anyway. So
but what I'm talking about is like this is a stable in their rotation. It was a yearly host. You know, and another one, and it's not a host, but Honda is not going to be the Honda anymore. Which, you know, tune in later to find out who's going to pick up tab on that one. But it's going to be fun to watch some of these title sponsorships move around as the new money picks up, because you got some pretty big paychecks out there. That war chest that Bridget Moynihan Jay Monahan is Jay Monogram. God, can somebody please come up with a sketch of Jay Monahan like knitting some towels in his Jay Monogram?
Into a monogram.
No, but he's that war chest is gonna kind of dry up. So he's got to start, you know, thinking of a new business model and how are we going to sustain this level of money. That's where this new live comes up, which is why you got your two standard bearers out there, kind of the captain emeritus, so going, all right, Greg's just too toxic, you know. Unfortunately, what they don't want to admit is they don't want to shut the party down. They just want the guy who started the party to leave, which that's such a fucked up thing to do.
I know, but that's a perfect little analogy for it, though.
All right, well, I'll be the devil's advocate because I don't mind. Why does Greg Norman have to leave? For whose ego? I mean, but if and quite frankly, I'll be a little contrarian here because it's not like Tiger's coming on the show anytime soon. Anyways, this ring light thing is driving me nuts. I got to find a better angle for it. But why does he have to go? Isn't he part of the product? I'm guaranteed. By the way, I am on team Greg's got to go. But just to see the other side of it.
Angles.
Yeah, although I think Greg kind of probably got into this knowing all the guys. He's the swashbuckling corporate pirate who comes in to take over or start the thing. He's not your sustaining CEO who's going to grow it for 20 years. That's the Taco Bell guy that they're thinking about bringing it in.
Yeah, no, Greg hasn't been part of the product since he jumped out of an airplane at TPC Boston at Live Boston. That was the last time he's really been a part of the product.
I mean, I saw him some pictures of some tuk-tuks when they were over in Bangkok, I think it was. Oh, and he has had long presence over in the Middle East. You know, both as a course developer and just an international business magnate. Yeah. So I could see him exiting stage left 2 and counting this as a win. I mean, it is a win for Liv to get this kind of attention and that kind of acknowledgement. Remember that when this was dead in the water? and it was never going to happen, or Tiger saying, I don't see it. I just don't see it. And you know what? The thing is, he could be, I mean, there's no guarantees. They could be like, listen, we'll have a conversation, but not with that jackass around. And then,
and I think that's what it more is. It's definitely that.
And the conversation could still end in, yeah, I don't see it. You all want the best of both worlds. The big news will come out when Augusta speaks. And actually, no news is what we've been predicting, right? Status quo, and that's where I think what'll happen is, if you are going to have a concentrated product or a concentrated field of 60 players and you're locked in, if you're going to start awarding world golf ranking points on a consistent basis to just those 60 players, then A, they have to be a little watered down. But B, that's going to be the avenue in, and it's going to be a very slim few players from LIV. And maybe it's not even based on world golf ranking. Maybe that alone, they're saying, because there's only 60 of you, we can't give you points. But what we will do is we will reserve, we'll reserve a spot in the Masters for the previous year's team, those 4 players, or maybe the individual champions.
Something like that. They create their own rule. Yeah.
And I think a lot of it tipped when there was a little bit of hypocrisy in the outrage and the pearl clutching, when all of a sudden the women's tour started sweeping through the Aramco series, and people were like, "Oh, wait a minute, money." It kind of is all coming from the same place. There is possibility and upside. There is this idea of growth. There is this idea of changing the game. The players seem to be happy. The caddies seem to be happy. So maybe that's what they're trying to do. Tiger's trying to be the adult in the room, which sometimes it does take an adult to be the jackass, to go like, all right, we can't do anything else until he leaves and she leaves. Like,
now, what do you think about, I don't know if you saw Cam Smith's comments on the World Golf Rankings. I don't know if it was earlier today or yesterday. It was sometime in the past couple of days, though, where someone had asked him how he felt about being ranked number 3rd in the world, and he basically said he said he believes that the world golf rankings are going to become less important. Is what he was kind of alluding to, that he doesn't really care. He doesn't see it as he's out there just playing golf, and he doesn't think the world golf rankings are going to be as important going forward. Is what I gathered from his comments.
What else can he say? He's in a position of no influence or power when it comes to the world golf ranking points, and the clock is ticking on his exemptions for what they carry. I don't like that approach. I don't like this. We're holier than thou. We're bigger than the world golf rank. No, you're not, mullet man. You're a diamond. There are literally 36 to 50 incredibly talented golfers coming off of Division I golf and the Korn Ferry Tour that give them 5 to 10 starts, and I would put money against one of them against him in a best out of 5 match series, because this game is about margins. And just because the spotlight is starting to do this, or your time is running out, I don't think the world golf ranking points mean anything.
If they were bigger than the world golf rankings, they wouldn't be putting up a stink to be getting them.
It just pisses me off.
It's a loser's mentality of like, oh, well, it's not going the way we thought, so we're just going to be like, oh, well, they're not as important then, because they didn't get them right off the bat like they wanted.
I go back to quit thinking that you brought your product with you. You didn't bring the product with you. Yeah, you know what I mean? You left the Beatles. You didn't get to bring their catalog.
They didn't even bring their entire individual brand with them. They only brought a part of it, because a lot of their brand backers didn't follow them to LIV.
So when you're sitting on a bag of money and you're Cam Smith and you're trying to be, again, I love him. I love that you tried to hit on him while Paulina Gretzky almost knocked you over.
Hit on him is a strong word.
I do. I enjoyed your comment. For the record, you were trying. It was a solid comment about hair, since he joined the tour, and I can't even remember who the other mullet man was on tour at the moment. But you were saying who now has the best hair on, who now has the best hair. But he's got the worst take. Well, I don't care about world golf ranking points. I wouldn't either if I just signed a $125 million check and I'm guaranteed to play golf the rest of my life and I'm financially secure.
Yeah, there's not much I would care about in general in life anymore.
it goes back to the perspective of you know, you getting richer doesn't make my socks roll up and down. And while I can appreciate, and some sort of academic approach to world golf ranking points, do they make sense, as evidenced by the recent thing where the Tour's BFE Classic versus the DP World Tour's final that had a smaller field, but like 25 of the top 50 versus 0 in the top 50, and they got more points. I get that argument from that there's a subjective nature and there are flaws and imperfections in the algorithm as it's set up now, but it still at least is objective enough to lean on to say that's not replicable every year. We can say by the numbers, we're going to be able to produce a field with at least this kind of, caliber with options to move up. If what you're saying, these people from the DP World Tour show up for this little guy, then we do max out. But even without them, we have a good potential. There's much more volatility over there. So it is bigger than just where the top players playing.
And this is now just an opportunity for the world golf rankings to adjust and change the algorithm, like you're saying. It's and not saying that it was. Obviously, nothing's ever fully perfect. So the world golf rankings aren't perfect, as you're alluding to here. But it doesn't mean that them willing to change it means they're admitting that their world golf rankings were wrong all at this time either. It just means that they are looking to change with the game and better accurately reflect the game, which is you as a golf fan, you should want.
The U.S. Constitution has an amendment process, for crying out loud. I mean, this will be updated and changed. They'll get a bunch of smart players in the room. They'll get somebody from Norman's camp. They'll get somebody from the PGA Tour. They'll get some smart engineers and whatever. They'll crunch them, and they'll come out to whatever I'm saying, which is you just don't give them as much. I mean, at the end of the day, you figure out how much it needs to be watered down. It's another mini tour for now.
Yes.
And you enter it in like a mini tour. And if these players are who they say they are, then they'll crank out these wins and they'll start racking up the points and they'll maintain some position. They'll level it out. And they'll go earn some more points in the majors. That's where I would like to see the bridge kind of quicker, sooner than later is the acknowledgement from, not the acknowledgement, but it's just the PGA and Augusta, because I do think the USGA and the RNA are in solid positions to say, listen, your tour is too small for us to guarantee spots. So you can either go through open qualifying like everybody else, or they do have a world golf ranking exemption for those majors. So there is an avenue there. I think Cam Smith, DJ's the only one who really seems to be, and I think he's got a good solid equity slice in this, and that's why he seems to be the only one who's just made his peace with it top to bottom and hasn't really griped at all. Everybody else feels like that Brooks Koepka is another example of the Brooks Koepka that went back to back with all these majors and this, that, and the other, and was the Brooksy Bryson, blah 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 blah. That was all in a certain environment, in a certain context, with a certain cast of characters. You've changed theaters. You've changed, types of production. You've changed all sorts of things. You can still put a good product out, or an entertaining product. I don't want Hardy to get mad at me. Let's not good. But it's an entertaining product that has potential. And who knows? Maybe they will get some more eyeballs. Did you catch any of Fox Sports today with the USA and Iran?
I don't know if you saw
I saw it.
The press conference. I would say the press conference before the reporter called out. And I'm forgetting now who it was now. I forget who it was that he called out, but he called out one of the U.S. players about pronouncing it wrong. So now I've all day I've been walking around saying to myself, Iran. And better yet too. I don't want to. The guy, and again, I'm trying to be empathetic here and think to myself, if I'm an Iranian journalist in this, maybe you got to lob this grenade and try to stir the shit pot a little bit. They were still pissed about the flag, which I don't know.
Of course,
I don't know how that got approved. Like, I get what they were trying to do, but how does somebody not say, well, wait a minute here. We are defacing somebody else's flag. Like, how does that get through enough people to be put on something global?
Well, and I don't know where's the Iranian social media team. Why don't they come on, get on top of the game, put up your standings, and remove the stars from our flag or something. Get in the game.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah, don't just cry about it. Come on in. The water's fine. We can bust each other's balls and be good about it. No, but what I took away from that was the pronunciation, which I was today old. And I used to teach world geography, for crying out loud. So I probably actually used to know it appropriately and slip back and forth, or would do the whole dance around, different pronunciations. But I love the young man who got the question, what does it feel like to play for a racist country or something like that?
Yeah, his answer was perfect.
And I don't want to try to sum it up because it was too beautifully put. Go look it up. Taylor Twellman, former U.S. men's national team captain, his tweet is the one that caught my attention, which basically was like, this is what leadership sounds like. The young man said, "Thank you for the pronunciation correction," that's how I kind of take life.
Started off, I was like, okay, he's going to do good here.
It
was Tyler Adams, by the way.
There's so much. Tyler Lorenz.
Tyler Adams.
Taylor Lorenz is a reporter for the Washington Post. I was thinking to myself, that's how I approach just about anything, whether it's names, this, that, the other, is if I screw it up and you just go, hey, by the way, it's this. Now, the dude kind of was overboard with his explanation, which is why I was proud of the player for just kind of being like, all right, man, well, I appreciate you correcting me on that. And then he goes to this long thing about like growing up in a certain family, but looking like I do. So look it up. He was great. And then after it was all said and done, the boys got it. The boys brought it home. I love being a soccer fan every 4 years, but it feels even better when they win.
Well, and I really thought Tim Weah had a second one there at the end of the first half too. They say he was offsides. They never really, or at least I didn't ever really see the full slow-mo, like where they do the two colors showing the line with just a little arm hair on his elbow was the only part of his body that's past the defender, so they call it offsides. I didn't see that shot, but either way, they won. So I'm happy with that. Went on to the round of 16. We get the Netherlands on Saturday.
Listen, bring it on. Apparently, one of their fullbacks is like defensive player, whatever, is like the BSD in the Premier League when it comes to defense. So I don't know. We got to scrap. Here's the thing about our guys is they're so young and fast and unaware. I don't know if there is a reverence for the moment, because they definitely have a respect for the game. Obviously, you see the way that they're conducting themselves. Yeah. But I don't know if there's the lights are too big because there's this strange kind of, look at us, we're here. Nobody thought we'd be here. And that's true too, that nobody thought they would be here. I mean, I get we were kind of expected to move on. When they looked at a big picture, they thought if we can hang with Wales, then we know we can get by Iran, which that was even harder than we thought. England? No, we know we can get by Iran. If we can hang with Wales, we can get by. Then it all pivots on how do we handle England. If they wax our clock and we're out of it. Yeah, like we were comfortable with those other two. It was really in the heart that they showed. I loved the freaking, USA win 0-0. Like I loved seeing that because in a way it's true. And I heard one of the analysts was given our manager, don't even know the dude's name, was giving him a pat on the back because of the mandate that he was kind of presented with a few years ago of, turn this Titanic quickly. We really have to get there.
Well, they needed to. They started with the CONCACAF Gold Cup win over Mexico, and bringing that home was a massive one for that team. And this team has something. That not necessarily that they've never had before, but they have more of. Guys who do play in the more Premier Leagues now in Europe. Pulisic for Chelsea, and I think it's Sergio Dest is Barcelona. Like they have guys on this team Barcelona. Sorry, they have guys on this team that, like you said earlier, like that maybe they're not realizing the kind of weight of the moment, but I think enough of them do because I think they're used to playing in these massive leagues, these worldwide kind of popularity of leagues where I think they can handle it. I mean, hell, Pulisic is now getting looked at by Man United. So, Chelsea to Man United, that's not a bad, individual club career if he does go over to Manchester United.
No. And who's looking at buying Man U? I want to say
the
Disney or Apple.
I forget who it is. It's something you wouldn't expect.
Yeah, but it does look like he's going to be. He does look like he's going to be. Apple should buy Manchester United. That's what I was seeing. Who will buy Man U? How much would it cost? Is Apple going to buy it? So there's just Apple is reportedly not interested. Okay,
yeah. So that people are just throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping it sticks.
Well, while we're at it, I mean, I'll buy Man U. Do you have a couple billion I could borrow? But it does look like Christian Pulisic is going to be ready for the Netherlands, and I don't know. Man.
I was a little worried.
Why not us?
I was a little worried when he went down after that goal because it looked like when I first saw it, it looked like he just honestly took a nut shot. It looked like he took a knee or a foot or something with the way he ran to the keeper. I was like, okay, he's just gonna compose himself. But then with the way he was walking off, holding his hip area and like his abdomen kind of, I was like, oh wait a minute, like I hope this poor guy didn't like break some ribs or something. I don't know what's going on, but luckily he came back in and I think he's gonna be fine.
That's the medical report here from Divots.
Yes, I think he's going to be fine.
There is. Oh my God! Something just.
You okay there?
No, there was something else I had flagged. El Kim ordered. Oh, did you see this story about Rory giving Tiger COVID before?
I did see. Well, when I say I saw the story, what I saw was both which for some reason this made me laugh the way that Rory was basically the one that reported this, as you're saying, and like his quote was basically, "Yeah, as if they're a married couple. Like Tiger and I have COVID after playing around together." Like it's just like it's like, oh, you're speaking for Tiger now.
I still couldn't figure out if this was like, well, wait a minute. Are you saying you had COVID close enough to the point where you weren't supposed to go? Y'all just win anyway? Is that why he played?
One of them had it without knowing, and then they like figured it out, or I don't know.
Didn't he? Oh, he said he texted him. He's like, "Nah, man, I feel great." And then a few hours later, he's like, "Buddy, this isn't good. I don't feel good." Like it went down that fast. Because that's my question: is in that situation, speaking of must lie situations, do you even send that text? Does Tiger text first? Man, I don't feel so good. Ship shape, buddy. Don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we're good. Then you just go radio silent for a few days.
So what happened to the Patriots on Thanksgiving night? Just ran out of steam? Did we see what happens when an actual playoff potential caliber contender team comes up against?
They could have beaten that team. They had that team. They had that team beat.
I fell asleep, man. I was in bed early. Thanksgiving wore me out.
They had that team beat.
Grandkids.
Sheesh. They had the team beat. They mentally just made stupid errors, like the penalties that they did have, the face mask, the running into the punter, the laps allowing the kick return. Like those are things that like I can't look at that and say that yes, a playoff caliber team beat us, because it wasn't obviously Justin Jefferson had his way. We knew that was going to happen, but they pretty much held Dalvin Cook in check for the most part. The defense wasn't necessarily awful. It wasn't their greatest performance, but they weren't awful. I think they just made dumb mistakes, and that's what it comes down to. So I would hope that they can kind of watch the tape, clear those up, and learn. But that really hasn't been their MO the last few years. So we'll see. They got some tough matchups coming up. So we got the Bills in 2 nights now.
I know.
So we'll see. I give them if their offense can play like they did, I give them a fighter's chance. I was trying to say puncher's chance, not punter. I give them a puncher's chance, but that's going to be a tough one to win.
Don't sleep on Billy B in a game like this where he might all out scheme where it's like Allen's not going to beat us. Somebody else is going to have to. Singletary's going to have to go
60-mile-an-hour wind and blackout fog.
Yeah, exactly. It's like maybe we get the weather does level the playing field in just about any sport,
but especially for Bill.
especially for Bill. But it's also the Juju's out there where Buffalo is this star-crossed team that's going to – everybody's already seen past the regular season, and we're waiting for the AFC Championship and Josh Allen and Pat Mahomes. And it was almost, it's almost ripe for, somebody to just stumble. And why not us, to steal that Kurt Schilling phrase again? Team USA is going to do this. You watch. We're gonna win. But the Pats, I'm holding out hope that we can sneak a handful of these wins on the way in and just kind of fall ass backwards, just because if, we've seen this before, things start clicking around November. And then if we can clean up in December, you just put yourself in position to only need a little bit of help. We'll find out a lot Thursday night. If Thursday night turns into a shit show, I think we know where the rest of the season's going, and it is time to already start thinking about 23. Yes. In which case, if we do kind of end up in that gross region, is Belichick on scholarship?
He is. He'll be here next year still. It's not like he's done well enough this year now to where he'll be fine, I think.
Can you imagine having that conversation?
So I'm wondering. I think Bill in the next few years is probably more likely to stop coaching than to be fired.
I was just thinking that myself. I could also see him. Let's say this goes south real quick and they finish 8-9. I could see him just walking away. I really could, because it's.
I kind of think 8-9. I kind of think 8-9 is the ceiling, honestly.
Oh God.
I've said that since before the season. 8-9 was always my prediction.
So you get a couple of those back to back, and I could see Bill just saying, "This isn't the caliber of football that I expect out of myself, and it's been a good run, and I'm going to go fish for the rest of my life and not stress about this."
Leave the team in charge to whoever blood related or friend that he wants. Good old nepotism.
You think I mean, is this going to turn into like a Pittsburgh Steelers kind of scenario where it's just a black box how this thing gets picked?
We'll see. It doesn't feel good though as far as the future after Bill at this point.
More moving and shaking though in the football world. Hugh Freeze come on down from Hookers to Liberty University and now back to the ACC. Have you heard about this guy?
I haven't. I have no clue what you're talking about.
So, welcome to my dojo. First of all, and I don't want to misrepresent. So, Liberty University.
Mr. Freeze.
No, Mr. Freeze. I'm all set on Mr. Freeze. My cousin goes to Liberty University, and it's.
Sorry.
I didn't see that comment.
It was very poor.
Has there been another Mr. Freeze besides the Governor?
I don't think so. I think he's been the only one.
I think that was the darkest moment in any of the Batman kind of that or Ben Affleck's first attempt at it. Those two for me, just Ben Affleck's a great Bruce Wayne, shitty Batman. Yes. So Liberty University it used to be called Lynchburg Baptist College and Liberty Baptist College. It's a private university in, I want to say, Pennsylvania somewhere.
My college used to play them.
Virginia. Sorry, Lynchburg, Virginia.
Yeah, my alma mater used to play them.
Anyway, so
they used to whoop our ass.
And the only reason they're pretty fucking good, and the only reason the type of school is relevant because their current coach, well, soon to be former coach Hugh Freeze, came from Ole Miss back in the day, and Ole Miss, he handed Alabama a couple of losses in his tenure at Ole Miss. That's kind of what he was known for. Yeah. And then he got known for, long story short, involving himself with hookers and using the company's cell phone to do it. And it's kind of like,
doesn't anyone learn?
Well, it's it's like
don't do it anyways, but like
it's like when Winona Ryder went shoplifting, and it's like, you're Winona Ryder, you're good for it. What are you doing for the rush? Anyway, so Hookergate, Hugh Freeze is gone. Come on down to Liberty University because you know how to win, and he did. He got them on the map, top 20 program last year. They crept in the top 25 this year. And he just earlier got hired by Auburn University to come down there and cry War Eagle for the plainsmen down on the farm, but it's on the plains. But I just found it interesting that if you can win and you can take a program and just inject a little life and you know what you're doing, it's amazing. And not saying that everybody should be, blacklisted if they get mixed up in some nefarious behaviors. Lord knows we've all been there. Maybe not there,
but
not there. I didn't use the company phone for the calls, but it does make me kind of not laugh, but smile to see that meritocracy is not dead, and there's definitely a road to your dreams if you want to hang in there. So Hugh Freeze, welcome back to the SEC. But the biggest kind of pitfall is going to be this upcoming weekend, Georgia LSU in the SEC title game, after LSU just laid an egg.
Yeah, they got smoked.
With Jimbo and the boys down in A&M. So it's there's your college football update, Divots and Pivots Nation.
College football. Look at my cousin and uncle are huge Michigan fans, really for no other reason, just because like they have no connection to it. It's just my cousin one day when he was younger wanted a college football team, and he chose Michigan, and he's ride or die ever since. And my uncle jumped on with him, so they were quite happy this past weekend after that surprising runaway win at the end.
I like what you did there. I like what you did there with runaway. Did you see those two runs? I mean, they were basically identical back to back.
I know. It was ridiculous.
No, I mean, have we talked about this before? I'm a huge Michigan guy, just from the house that I grew up in. So it'll be interesting to see, because I do think, well, Georgia's in. Even if they lose to LSU on Saturday, they're not going to drop out of the top 4. The rankings just came out, and it's Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and USC.
Yes.
I do think if TCU loses, they're going to bounce them real quick and bring Ohio State back in.
Probably.
Unless Michigan loses. But even if Michigan loses to a bumfuck Ohio,
I think it's still I think you're still right. Michigan would probably just drop back to 4. Mm-hmm. And TCU would still be the odd man out here.
I think Michigan and Georgia are in, period, especially after Michigan just walked into
I would think so, yeah.
And I think TCU and USC are, win and you're in. Ohio State is obviously going to be the first one back in.
And they're going to be itching for a reason to put Ohio State back in there too. You know that.
Why though? Why? I mean,
just want the ratings. They are dreaming. They are dreaming of a Michigan-Ohio State national championship. Dreaming of it.
I get it. I think it would raise.
It's just carrying so much hate in that rivalry right now. After this just there was so much trash talking over the past week. I know there always is, but I feel like it would. And I know it never stopped, but I feel like for some reason it was made the mainstream more. Like this time,
anytime both teams are up there around the top, it plugs in. It's Yankees, Red Sox.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Bush push from back in 2003, 4, 5 when it was Notre Dame, USC. When you got some blue bloods at the top of their game. LSU and Alabama played for the national title a few years back.
Yes.
After meeting earlier in the game of the century during the regular season. So we've been here before, and I get what you're saying. Ohio State, I think, is a paper tiger. I mean, we saw what happened with C.J. Stroud the last 2 times he tried to go up against a team of Michigan's caliber. He got slapped around. I mean, and when you look at what's going on with Zach Wilson in New York, you understand that maybe we anoint these guys a little too quickly at the college level. You got to let it breathe for a while. Look at Jalen Hurts over at Philadelphia. I mean, it takes a little time for the medicine, and these guys have got to. Not everybody comes out and is Andrew Luck or insert rookie quarterback.
Jalen Hurts came into this season supposedly playing for his job,
right? And now he's a legit MVP. I wouldn't say candidate. He's in the conversation.
Yeah, he's in the top 5.
Are we at the point now where it's Patrick Mahomes? Is he that? Are we back to this? I think we might have talked about this last week. Is it like MJ territory where it's him, and basically if he shits the bed too early in the playoffs, then somebody else gets it?
Probably. That's probably safe to say.
Guy is just stupid good. I mean, it freakishly good. I like that you got Kyler Murray down there in Arizona going, I can do that too. And it's like, no,
except you haven't.
You haven't. The memes of him and the size of his head are are mean and for all the right reasons.
Mean memes. Speaking of mean, real fast here, earlier in the show, Jason from TSS, our good friends over there, shitting on my golf game a little bit.
That's fair.
Not that he's ever seen me play or anything, but this one specifically made me laugh.
Blackbeard's Bend sounds like a gay porn.
So if you like TSS humor, that comment there's much more of that to come at 9:00 over at TSS Fantasy on YouTube. Check it out. You will get a nice little 2-minute look at Sophistication Station with myself as well for some waiver wire pickups for the playoffs coming up. I am officially now mathematically eliminated from my home league's fantasy league with a 1-point loss this week, which crushed me. It's going to be the first time I've missed the playoffs in a few years.
What would have made the difference? Let's play a little Monday morning quarterback on Tuesday night.
If Pittman hadn't caught that last 8-yard pass.
You know what? This is gonna be a new segment. Monday morning quarterback on Tuesday night. We're gonna talk about fantasy regrets from the weekend.
Yeah, I had a 28.8 point lead going into the Monday night game, and my opponent had Najee Harris and Michael Pittman, and Harris did nothing outside of that touchdown, and then he got hurt. So then I was like, okay, he's hurt. I don't have to worry about any more points from him. And fucking Matt Ryan's throwing the ball to Michael Pittman, so we're all right there. And then so the same thing. I was kind of dozing off during the game, and then I woke up at one point, and there was a couple minutes left, and I hear the Michael Pittman with a catch for 8 yards, whatever it was. I was like, I bet you that's not. I just need the game to end. And then I looked at my phone right after the game ended. I was like, son of a bitch. I lost by 1 point. It might have even been less than 1 point. Brutal.
Fantasy football is the greatest thing in the world.
Brutal.
So this upcoming weekend, actually, you're making me miss kind of the traditional fantasy setup instead of this weekly game. I love the league that I'm in because it is mindless. But at the same time, I'm getting pissed off at not. There's some consistency and there's something fun about it. But I've got a 2-year-old, man. I don't have time for this. Not to mention PGA Tour fantasy is right around the corner, and I got to open up my dojo so I can reschool you in that again. I can't.
No. I'm bringing it. I underestimated you last year. I'm bringing it.
Oh, well, then I'm just going to start. All right. Here we go. I got
caught up in teaching you the ways. Now you're on your own, and I'm going to take you to the bank.
I did hustle you a little bit. Hustled you.
Oh, boy.
But with the clock, we started this whole roundabout. You were asking about Cam Smith.
Yes.
And I got really pissed off because his whole indifference to the world golf ranking points. And again, it goes back to this idea that you walked away thinking that you were still playing the same game, but now you're just, you're just playing a money game. I will call a truce with Pat Perez at this point after seeing some. Well, two things. A, I gotta know what Phil Mickelson did to piss him off that bad. I mean, the words that they're using is he crossed and other people who are in the know who are speaking anonymously are like, let's just say it involved wives or a wife. And, I don't know if it was a comment or an action. I don't know. I'm thinking in my mind, I think it's a decent proposal, right? I think in Phil just blindly one night, they're all just chilling there. And he just goes, $10 million for the three of us to go back to my room.
Yeah.
And it's
stupid like that.
And I want it to be something that kind of, I want to say innocent because that is relatively
not much innocent about that though.
In the action, the proposal, come on! Who couldn't use the change? Obviously, Pat jumped at the money. No, but after seeing those interviews and those comments, and for him to come out and put it in perspective, which you and I have respected this perspective the entire time on Live, he says, I was on the tour for 25, 28 years, whatever it was, grinding my ass off every year. He wasn't griping about doing it. He was saying it almost with this source of pride. He goes, and here I've got a chance to make more money doing the same action. Yeah, it's instead of building railroads, do you want to come up and put street signs up? It's and you want to pay me how much? So I'm calling a truce with Pat Perez. I still don't know what's going to happen with Phil Mickelson. What struck me was when Zach was on a couple weeks ago, Zach Halfin from the New Yorker. Again, if you haven't read this piece about Liv and how he got up close and personal with some of the folks there, go check it out at the New Yorker. Zach Halfin, and just Google it. Liv golf. It's a phenomenal piece. But when I said what triggered it, and he goes, honestly, it was Phil's comments in Shipnuck's book, about
That's right.
the
Yes.
scary MFer. And he goes, because that really piqued his interest of like, you're talking. I think I would love to know from Phil Mickelson, given a mulligan, do you take it here? And obviously he's come out and said, yeah, he would have. Because he's even looked back and been like, all right, maybe I did say some things out of school on the record. And those are two different things. And journalists and reporters and authors take that shit very, very seriously, which is why I want to just give the deference to Alan and say, like, he probably did it right. I mean, those guys don't get to where they are by screwing over subjects of stories. There is that level. There's the code there for a reason.
Yeah.
There's a reason there's bloggers, and then there's journalists. And if you're a journalist, you are following a certain code, in practice, in theory. So knowing that was the game that he was kind of stirring up, and we've seen some fallout, businesses who've decided to part ways with longtime partners, and that even stirs up the kind of, well, really, if you're going to play the moral game, do you understand who you're in bed with? And that company has bases over here, and we're seeing it again with the World Cup this week. A journalist gets stopped at the gates for an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours for the rainbow flag around a soccer ball when they were told you're not going to be hassled, and the security guards are doing. Yeah, there's a lot. And what I'm getting at is the one common thread through this is sport. And when sport is supposed to be, again, I think I've said it before, it's from the French word d'esprit or whatever, which means kind of like an exuberant show of entertainment or spirit. It's supposed to be a distraction. And when we let it stop being a distraction and we inject the outside into it, and that includes the players, guys like Cam Smith, keep your personal political beefs with the governing bodies out of this, and you'll earn some more fans. And you'll get some more followers out of it. Be who you are. That was dope. That was fun. I had so much fun over there, and it was a great challenge. And it was so much fun that I thought, are there other challenges out there in the world that I can face? Are there other, dragons that I can slay? Be a creator. Say I'm a golfer and a creator. We're trying to play. But this self-righteous BS about we're still just like them over there. You're not. Yeah. And stop it, because it's disrespectful and it's rude, not only to people like me, but I think about like the Akshay Bhatias and these Corn Ferry guys who are grinding their rear ends off at a shot to do this for a living. You're spitting all over them because they didn't get the shot you got. And by the way, the only reason you got this shot for all this money is because you went through that process. So don't stand on their shoulders, call yourself tall, and then say, we need to raise the rim to where I am.
Yeah. And that's all these, you're right. All these guys know the process, have been there, done that. So to turn, I'm not even going to try to add on to it. You said it perfectly. You were on a roll there. And when you get on a roll, it's fun to watch. It's just fun to see where that ball goes sometimes.
And that's also why I brought up the whole difference between bloggers and journalists. Like I'm a blogger, I'm a podcast guy, blogger. I do use
West out here.
I'm a writer. I'm not a journalist, right? Like I do things like that because I don't know the ins and outs of that, and I make that very clear. Like when I talk to people, I'm like, if you don't want me to say something, or if there's something, like, let me know up ahead, because I'm actually going to defer to the conservative side. Like I would rather not share things out of respect for people and stuff. But there is that kind of fine line of how long does this become a story? And I think with Tiger's comments and Rory's comments, we're going to know sooner than later if this thing has legs. I think the Shark's going to bow out. He's going to make some pompous ass self-aggrandizing statement and exit stage left with whatever equity he has in Live Golf. He's go back down to Australia in his vineyards, and he's just going to sit on his beach and, watch his money roll in. And I hope he does that, because the blogger in me would love nothing more than a good story in this kind of next evolution of golf. And how do these two, bodies,
the politics continue? Of it would be very interesting as golf fans are, just from the fan standpoint. Now, obviously not every fan's going to give a crap. They just want to watch golf on the weekends and call it a day. But as two enthusiasts ourselves, like, oh yeah, the politics that would have to go on for this and the back and forth, that is very interesting. Like those are meetings that I would enjoy sitting in on, like as a fly on a wall, and just hear how it goes back and forth.
It'd be up there with kind of how back to the football thing, because Saturday's gonna be a lot of fun. I don't care who you are, championship Saturday, because of what's at stake at every championship game. The Big Ten, not really the ACC anymore. God, the poor ACC.
Who's BC playing?
I don't know.
I think they're playing the high school state champion. That's okay. The Massachusetts state champion.
Did you see what happened to the East Lynn Pee Wee team?
Or
Pop Warner team? Look it up. East Lynn, and they qualified for the National Pop Warner Championships, but then they were disqualified from going because of paperwork issues.
What?
Look into it before you comment. Look into it before you comment publicly. I've read several stories about this, and there's layers to this onion. So check it out, because it is true. The statement is true that the East Lynn, Massachusetts Pop Warner team won their way through local and regional qualifying to get to the national championships, but then they were disqualified from going or not allowed to go because of some paperwork issues. That right there is 100% honest and true. What all that means, you have to kind of look it up and kind of judge for yourself. And I would encourage Andrew not to try to catch a few sentences, and because again, I'm not going to.
I just read one sentence. Can already tell it would need a lot more reading than just reading the headline.
There's more to it than meets the eye. I don't even know how we got onto East Lynn Pop.
I don't know.
Other than we were talking about this upcoming
PC
Saturday. Every single championship game's got something at stake. SEC, obviously, just to find out what seed Georgia is going to be. Big Ten, because if Michigan loses embarrassingly, they might say, see you later. You had one good shot in the arm. Come on, Ohio State, you have a better body of work. Doubt that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But then in the morning, we've got USA versus the Netherlands. I think coverage starts at 9, the kickoff's at 10. It's going to be one of those.
Looking forward to that.
One of those sweet, sick
and it's perfect
days.
timing, because it's going to end just in time for me to go to my daughter has like a holiday recital that starts at like 2. So if the game was at 2, I'm going to my daughter's recital, but I would have had to miss the game. So now I get to do both.
What? And you say recital? What are we reciting?
Let's dance.
Is this music? Okay. Don't dance me. It could have been a piano recital. It's not a recital if it's a piano. It's been like a concert or some shit.
No, I think they still call it recital. So I don't know.
So, and then obviously the Hero World Challenge is going on. If you really need to get your golf fix, I guess it's.
I'm looking forward to seeing Charlie Woods play soon.
I'll watch the PNC is fun because of that. You get some Chuck Woods, you get some little John Daly. I'm a big fan of seeing like the old timers out there. I say old timers, quote unquote, like Matt Kuchar and David Duval and Gary Player gets out there. It is cool, but
it is.
I mean, I think we're all there to see Charlie. Dude, he looked beefed up. Like, I don't know if you see on social media, he's been playing in some of these junior tournaments. Nota Begay has a big Nota Begay is a former golfer. He was a teammate of Tigers at Stanford. They're best friends going way back. And Nota Begay has sponsored this series of individual kind of invitationals for junior golfers. And Tigers on the bag, because you see on social media people saying, showing up to my kid's 6:55 tee time, and there was another dad here waiting with his kid, and you're like, but that's where he is though. I tell you the camp 53 minutes before we get our
that
first
is
camp
that is the longest to date. I'm going to put a little counter up here on the screen on the background.
We should have one of the interns needs to put a graphic up, and every time I mention camp, it just goes ding, like a little
or just this many episodes since the last camp accident reference. Oh, camp reference.
So we had the camp where I worked, we definitely had some high profile families come through over the years. And one thing that the place did a phenomenal job at doing is during our kind of staff training and orientation, the owner director always had a saying, I'm a parent before I'm a camp director. And being a parent now, I look back on that, and I mean, it all makes sense. And even at the time, you understood that's how seriously we take this, but it also painted the picture that it's not so-and-so's son or so-and-so's daughter. It's Sarah is coming to camp, or Jimmy is coming to camp. And then on Parents' Day, on pickup day, when they would show up and you would meet these people and names that, super, like wildly historically famous names, but they come and it's not, oh my God, you're so-and-so. It's, oh, you're Jeremy's dad, or, oh, hi, you're Sarah's mom. Because in that moment, and it's kind of cool. It's just, I think it's a word, try not to try not to make these people so big that they're not human. They're excellent at what they do, and they're definitely. Otherwise, you start getting into some of that Kanye West territory, and your brain starts turning, and you start believing a little too much of what you're breathing. And so, keep it in the straight and narrow. And we're all human beings. So when Tiger Woods said I had some procedures done earlier this year, yes, you can ask the follow up, but then read the room.
Yeah. If he doesn't want to talk about it, he's going to let you know he doesn't want to talk about it as politely as possible. Don't make him get rude.
Can I say one more thing? Because I haven't had the talking stick long enough in this hour. One thing I'm desperately looking forward to is getting back into my fantasy National Golf Club stats.
Yes.
And I'm not just doing that for a quick drop on them, although I did see the Moose down there, and I thought we haven't talked about those guys in a while. But I was doing some number crunching and some data analyzing for work. And it just reminded me of how much more pleasurable it is when you're looking at golf statistics versus membership statistics.
So much more pleasurable.
And it feels better when you're doing it in your sick Mahler Brothers t-shirt wearing your Piper golf hat. Damn it, I thought I had the reveal.
Oh, you thought it was on your head for when you turned around?
No, I thought it was just right behind me.
Oh, what are you doing? Wait, who was it that wore after the after the game this weekend? Did you see the massive hat?
I saw it.
But who was it?
For the Commanders, I have no idea. Some young buck for the Commanders.
Oh, was it Brian Robinson?
Yes,
it was Brian Robinson who wore it. Yeah, had that massive oversized hat.
By the way, I love it, and I almost think that every NFL team should have one of those. And if you get the game ball, then you have to wear that to your presser. I think that should be. Speaking of game balls, did you see Jalen Hurts sharing his with Kelsey?
I did not.
Kelsey's his center, right? His brother,
yes,
Travis Kelsey's brother.
Jason Kelsey.
Thank you. I was searching for the first name. I was like, it's not Travis. Don't say Travis. It's Travis's brother.
Yeah.
But it was a cool moment. Another thing you got to check out is a cool moment where he's sitting there holding the game ball, and he kind of looks at it, and Jalen's like, without him, I'm nothing. Like it was cool to see that kind of pitcher catcher, center, that relationship. But Jason Kelsey's like, I don't know, man, 17 years or whatever. It's like first one of these I've ever gotten. And it was like
wait a minute, what? Well, because it's
how many game balls are going to these linemen?
When the center goes down injured, the whole offensive line tends to fall apart for a little while.
Yeah, we saw that with David Andrews and the Patriots.
Exactly. So you're right. They should get more. So good for Jalen Hurts.
We're gonna start that movie.
Much more likable than Zach Wilson. But anyways, I just love getting any Zach Wilson digs I can get in.
No, let's circle back to that because I brought him up in a quasi academic way of saying like how we can see these can't miss kid. Look at this guy. It reminds me of the scene from Moneyball where Brad Pitt is sitting in that room of scouts and they're all talking about how. Well, he looks this and he's 6'5", or the ball just pops off the bat. And Brad Pitt's like, then why is he batting $192? He's like, no, he needs some more reps. And he's like, I don't understand. He's had 5,000 at bats and he's batting this. That kind of it. You got to put him out there, and if they produce, they produce. And if they don't, they don't. And Zach Wilson, I mean, don't let him suit up.
I know. I loved that. They didn't even let him be the backup. He was just a guy there. He was just a guy.
He was a guy in a Jets hoodie.
Good for Saleh. Good for Robert Saleh. He said, "This is my team," and you are done.
And did you see the players rallying around Mike White during his post-game interview?
Yeah, I did see that. I did see that, and that's because Elijah Moore's happy now because he got some action finally. So yeah, look, there's a lot to it. Zach Wilson, I think, is toxic for that team. I'm not saying Mike White is the answer by any means, but he's the answer right now for the morale of that team.
The NFL is the epitome of what have you done for me lately? And come on down, Mike White. I mean, by the way, Tom Brady. If Tom Brady doesn't Tom Brady that when he gets his 15 minutes in the sun, he's the fuck out of there because Drew Bledsoe just signed that massive contract. So
they would have. They did bring him back, and then he got hurt again.
On to the next one. Like Zach Wilson. This might be his first. Just sit down and then like, hey kid, because there is more to it than just can you play. A lot of people can play football. Zach Wilson is a good-looking, marketable, There is this bigger.
I'm not sure how
package of Zach
marketable
Wilson.
he is anymore, though. He's taken a massive hit as far. What's that rating that they give celebrities that basically relates to their
their
sellable
influencer
rating
score or whatever?
Yeah, if there's a certain rating. I think he's taken a massive hit. I really do, because I think the story on him right now is that he's a dick and no one likes him.
Doesn't matter. I mean, we're talking about a period. I mean, there's genuinely the no bad PR. Unless you're in legal trouble or sexual trouble, there's no bad PR in this.
I could just see him. I could just see him falling like Josh Rosen fell, like one of these guys that just disappeared because they
Ryan Leaf. I hope he doesn't go the Ryan.
Well, Ryan Leaf that was totally different circumstances. I don't know if you've seen the full Ryan Leaf story about his comeback, as far obviously not come back to football, but there's a great mini documentary about him that I would highly suggest watching. It's fantastic.
No, Homeboy's great. He
rebuilt his life.
That's why I snuck in there. I was like, Ryan Leaf. I was like, maybe not the entire thing, because no, he definitely. But it was the same thing: burn up, burn out, and get out. And that's why it's like, this isn't bad for him yet. If he gets cut from this team, it's Baker Mayfield is on that second gasp of air in Carolina. Zach Wilson's just hoping to get another gasp of air in New York. Yeah.
Well, Baker Mayfield's gasp of air might be gone. So, when Sam Darnold's getting the start, it's not good for you.
Did Sam Darnold get the memo from the front office to stop winning? It's a dichotomy. It's a dicey situation, because I mean, I guess that's why tanking is unethical. But
I still go back to Carolina's whole front office. The way they handled the last 2 years just baffles me. It just they did it to themselves. So,
and where's Matt Rule now? Nebraska?
I don't even know. I'm not even sure.
Yes, he is. He's actually, Matt Rule just ended up at Nebraska. That's where he was, right? Or was he in Washington?
Literally sent the cow out to pasture.
Legit, but that's where he belongs. He's a college guy. He turns around programs. He's another. Yeah. And then to top it all off, Luke Fickell leaving Cincinnati, going to Wisconsin. That is your college wrap up as we walk away from this hour and change of Divots and Pivots nonsense.
Yes, and that is going to do it. You nailed it. We only had one camp reference, so come back to see if we break the record. Can make it, Pat. Look, 53 is the new mark. 53 minutes. Let's see if we can get later in the episode next time.
I'd take the under on that. But we will have USA Soccer. We will have we'll finally have a bowl kind of bowl season to look at in a college football playoff to dissect a little bit. And we'll see what happens this Thursday with the Bills and the Pats. Don't sleep on them. I'm always a puncher's chance. Definitely a puncher's chance. In the NFL, they're all professionals. Even when you're 0-15 going into week 16, these are professionals. They're grown-ups. They got pride on the line and a lot of money. So anything is possible, especially here in Boston. # Kevin Garnett. Back to you.
I was just going to say, Kevin Garnett said it best. But that will do it. We will see you next week, every Tuesday here on YouTube at 8 o'clock Eastern. Divots and Pivots. Thanks to Piper Golf. Thanks to Mala Bros. And don't worry, Fantasy National Golf Club, we are coming back soon to be grinding for those stats for our DFS. And we're going to be getting that going here soon. So stick around. Come back each week. We'll be here waiting. Pipe it hat right there. Head looks huge. Good for you, bud. We will see you all next week.